Hey friends! There are so many wonderful Disney movies we all know and love, and although sometimes they have some chilling or sad moments, for the most part, the main character we're rooting for wins and lives happily ever after at the end. Yay! But did you ever think a little deeper about some of these stories and that maybe there are things you missed as a child? Today, friends, we're going to be diving in and discussing some of the spookiest Disney theories about some of our favorite films. Before we get to it, go ahead and click subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you'll never miss out on our future videos. And give this video a thumbs up if by the end of this, we successfully ruined your childhood perception of happily ever after. Here we go. Many of the theories surrounding Disney movies include a very creepy subject: ghosts. Yes, friends, in many a land of make-believe, it is rumored that some of these characters are not human, but in fact, spirits. Take Peter Pan, for instance. We all know that Peter Pan is the frolicking, free spirit, pun intended, who doesn't like rules and doesn't ever want to grow up. Captain Hook is the total opposite, so the two end up clashing in multiple ways on multiple levels. But the theory here is that everyone in Neverland is actually dead and just a ghost, and that they're living in some weird vortex where time stands still. Well, it has been suggested that Captain Hook was once a lost boy and somehow traveled away from Neverland for a while in order to age for a bit, then came back to instill some rules. Maybe while on the outside he learned about the importance of law and order? Well, this adds another layer to the friction between him and Peter Pan, since Peter Pan may want to be a boy forever, but he understands the concept of loyalty, and Hook leaving the Lost Boys at some point suggests that he's a traitor, and that's a big no-no for Peter Pan. So they're just gonna fight each other till the end of time and everyone is a ghost, so that's cool. In keeping up with the theme of ghosts and dead people, let's talk about Up. The heartwarming film touched the lives of many, many people, as many Pixar films do, especially the first montage that portrays love and loss. Friends, I don't know about you, but that montage was a roller coaster for my feelings. I went from going, aww, at the love story to sobbing over Ellie's death, all in less than 5 minutes. Well, as we know, Carl and Ellie had made plans to travel all over, and their plans were cut short by the tragic loss. So when Carl's home begins to rise up and travel, held up by countless balloons, we're thinking, is this a metaphor? Sure enough, a theory in circulation about the film states that the whole adventure, starting with the house rising up to the sky, is indeed a post-mortem journey for Carl. Or maybe something like in between life and death, like a sweet little purgatory or something. Well, when we see pictures of angels and cherubs, their chubby cheeks and baby faces are not unlike the very earnest Russell in the film, who could very easily be a metaphor for an angel accompanying Carl into the afterlife. This is not necessarily a theory with spooky or evil ghosts, but it is a little creepy in that we feel like we're in a trip. Like, am I watching a fantasy movie and everything's all good, or am I literally watching a broken-hearted little old man ascend into the abyss? We don't know. What are your thoughts on this theory? Definitely let us know in the comments. Speaking of trip, the most commonly known drug trip ever known to humankind, of course, takes place in Alice in Wonderland. There have been so many theories circulating about the eerie and eccentric little story, and we really do believe that the entire story is one big drug trip. So, Lewis Carroll, the author of the original fable, was known for his consistent use of, opium. So let's think about it. If a man on opium sits down to write a book, is it coming from a total place of fiction, or does he actually believe that he's experiencing some of these things? Well, that actually led us to believe that this story is not as innocent as your average children's story. We even see subliminal messages that suggest psychedelic inclinations. Like when Alice eats mushrooms and that leads to a whole series of insane events. Okay, mushrooms, seriously? It could have been bell peppers, carrots, or even frickin' raw onions, but I think we all realize that mushrooms specifically affecting her in that way definitely has something to do with her taking drugs. Oh, and there's a hookah-smoking caterpillar which totally flew over my head as a child, considering I didn't even know what hookah was. Oh, how things change when we grow up. Ready for us to plant another very scary thought in your head regarding your favorite Disney films? No? Well, too bad. Here it is. We all know of the little boy Pinocchio whose nose grew every time he lied. It has been used as a lesson in morals and the importance of telling the truth for kids across multiple generations. Well, here's something extremely scary about the film that completely passed over our heads as children. When Pinocchio goes to Pleasure Island, okay, first of all, is it just me or is that name already super duper creepy and definitely not a place I would send any kid ever? Well, there are some theories surrounding the events that take place there. On Pleasure Island, I feel gross even saying it, kids have the ultimate freedom to do what they want. It's kind of a theme across Disney since we saw a similar situation in Peter Pan. Well, friends were basically wondering who is running the show. And in order for the kids to get to do whatever they want, what's the catch? What do they have to do in exchange for these so-called pleasures? I shudder just thinking about these poor kids. Well, over time, they start turning into donkeys. And sure enough, if child abuse wasn't enough, Disney tacked on human trafficking. They throw the donkeys into tiny crates to be shipped away, not unlike children who are lured with candy and cake, kidnapped and pulled into the vicious and disgusting cycle of human trafficking. Disney, why did you have to make things so dark in a children's movie? Moving on to another spooky theory, this one being very apocalyptic. Well, the movie Cars was adorable, entertaining, and quite clever as well. Viewers and fans are sucked into this world of cars, some new, some old, some fixer-uppers, some super fast, etc. You get the point. Well, most people would never question the absence of humans in the film since it is a children's movie and it seems perfectly normal to have a bunch of talking cars driving themselves around. Well, did you ever wonder about whether this fictional world ever had humans in it to begin with? The cars are designed as we know them to be, which means they had indeed been made by humans. So the theory suggests that with the increase of technology as well as the increase of pollution and climate change, it all reaches a head in a terrible apocalyptic fate for human beings. Cheerful stuff, right? Even at the car shows, you see thousands of audience members who are also cars. Not a human in sight. So maybe the cars have the ability to build themselves due to an increase in robots and AI and all of that good stuff, and human beings just got wiped out by our terrible use of the planet. It's definitely a very scary theory, considering some of these things are actually part of our current reality. Dun dun dun. Well, friends, there you have it. Some of our top scariest theories about the Disney movies we grew up watching. Far less happily ever after than we thought, right? What are some of your theories about Disney films? Leave us a comment below. As usual, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell as we bring you more juicy info, gossip, and speculation about the shows and stars you know and love. Until next time!